Welcome everybody. Seems like we're on. Thank you the Most High God for all things and everything, food, clothing, and shelter. Thank you, Yehovah God, for this beautiful Shabbat day. And thank you the Most High God for the lives of all of you that are out there today. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for everything that He provides for us, even in these times. And thanking the Creator for life. Thanking the Creator for food, clothing, and shelter. And I'm thanking Yehovah for the ability to call upon His name in truth and in righteousness, giving glory unto the God of heaven and earth. I'd like to ask everyone to excuse me for my tardiness tonight. In getting ready to do something or to bring a lesson, sometimes you get caught up into whatever you do and you come on late. Shalom, shalom. Yemima Prescott, Shabbat shalom. Adam Ben Adam, Shabbat shalom. Everybody that comes on, you know what to do. Share the links, put them in all the different rooms. Like I said, I need an assistant because there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and I can't share all the links. So just let me know. Just share them in all the rooms, as I will begin to try to share some of these links all over the place. I hope that everyone had a good Shabbat meal, had good coming together with your families. Shabbat is important because it's also about family. It's not just about us, but it's about family. I just want to make sure that everyone hears me good in the room. If you hear me good in the room, please give me a 1. If you hear me good in the room, please give me a 1. Anybody in the room? I want to make sure that I'm being heard good. Shabbat Shalom. Ozi Lewy. I guess he's on. Havared Yisrael. Shalom Ima. Deborah B. Hana Lewy. Naya Yisrael. Chaskuya by Yisrael. Ima Kaskuya. Shalom, shalom to everyone on Facebook and everyone that John Isaac C. Paul. Shalom, shalom. Who's this? Bless Azaria, Yashara, Marsha Yisrael, Shemariah Yehuda. Shalom, shalom to all of you. Some of y'all are on both avenues. You know I'm on Facebook Live also, and I'm on the D.C.B channel on YouTube. For those on Facebook Live, you might want to open up a screen of the D.C.B channel when I go. Shalom, shalom. Ima, Hana Pua Yisrael. So all of you that are on Facebook Live, you might want to go to our channel on YouTube. Because once I start the slideshow, then I'm not going to set up the camera, put the camera in front of everything. I'm not going to do that. So that's just doing a little bit too much. So let me just share this all over the place, in all the rooms. Thank you, Yehovah God, for my life. I want to first send out my condolences to Emmet, who lost her daughter this past Monday. For all of you that know Emmet, she lost her daughter. Although her daughter is 60 years old, Emmet, it's never a good feeling for a parent to have to bury a child. So our condolences go out to Emmet, and it goes out to that whole entire family. to the Ashley family, everybody on that end. Also, Ima Afua lost a son. Those of you that know Ima Afua, she lost a son. So our prayers also go out to Ima Afua and her family over there for their loss. And for everyone, we continue to pray for Ima Keturah, for the loss of her daughter Kifsa, and that the Most High God will give them all strength. Would the Most High give them all strength, because it's not easy to lose a child. So we pray for those mothers. We pray for everyone that has lost someone. We pray that the Creator of heaven and earth be with you and protect you and give you strength in these trying times. We also ask that Yahweh will continue to bless the works of our hands, even in these tough times, especially these times that are coming up now, where it's not easy for the children of Israel. But it's cool, because you know that through it all, we persevere. Yah is always there for us. So fret not, and don't think of all the things around you. Don't be amazed at the signs of the heavens. Don't be amazed at anything you hear on the news. All that stuff is supposed to happen. The Most High God has to set judgment upon this earth, and he has to put forth his punishment upon those who go contrary to his word. There is no cleaner way to put it. There is no sugar-coating way to put it. That just is what it is. So don't fret yourself because of evildoers. Neither be dismayed at their evil ways or what they do, because only the wicked is dismayed at it. So don't put yourself in the realm of the wicked and thinking and overthinking what's happening. Do what you're supposed to do as a woman and a man of God, and the Most High God will direct your paths. I know we got a lot of people out there, and I just want to talk to the hearts of some people out there. You have a lot of people that through the past years might have been disappointed with Israel. Maybe they went through some experiences in Israel, not positive experiences, maybe with an organization, maybe with a significant other. I just want to tell you, don't put your judgment of Israel on an individual relationship that you might have had with a person or even with a place. There are many places of worship out there, and now there's so many places online that you could listen to, and you could actually go out and see people. You understand what I'm saying? So don't shape your thoughts of Israel according to a bad experience. What you often notice is that it's not the place that's bad. It's usually an individual or two. So those are things that you have to keep in mind. The knowledge is not bad. It's just sometimes the people who disseminate the knowledge or don't know how to bring it. And not all teachers, are like that. But it's just, if you're disappointed with something, if you were disenchanted by something, put your trust in God. That's why it tells you don't put your trust in princes, neither men. Because man gonna disappoint you, and you're gonna be disappointed. I might disappoint you one day. You might see me right here, and I'm bringing certain things every week, but I'm man, and I'm liable to make mistakes. I don't always how do you say it? I don't always, I'm not a beacon of perfection. I'm not that. You know, I'm a man. I make mistakes, just like all of you make mistakes. I just dedicated myself to the service of the Creator. So it might seem like everything that I do is perfect, but I'm far from perfect. And, you know, those are just things that we should just keep in mind. You know, don't you get disappointed at places and then you turn your back on God. Don't turn your back on God. God doesn't have the fault. Sometimes we go through bumps and bruises. I see many times, you know, sometimes you're in a relationship with a person, right? You came to accept this way of life. Perhaps the person brought you into this way of life. And now you and the person are no longer together. And because you and the person are no longer together, now you say, I'm not doing this anymore. But you know yet that there are benefits in keeping Torah. Yet there are benefits in raising up your children and doing and keeping Torah. But because you're angry with that other person, you decide that you want to turn your back on everything because you felt like this was holding you down. And these are things that affect us as a people, break up families, you know, cause children to go astray, and things begin to happen to children. So these are things that we have to rectify and things that we have to keep in mind as a people, as God's people, and understand that we have to continue to walk in the path of right, regardless of what happens to us in our lives and whatever obstacles we come across. A separation between a man and a woman should not lead to one or the other party walking out of doing Torah and just being free. Then that means sincerely you never had this in your heart, you know, and trying to spite someone by not doing Torah is also not good because you don't want to make God angry. You don't want to make the Creator angry. You don't want him to come against you. You don't want the Creator to come against you. And he has all the time in the world. You know, he doesn't have to, people feel because they don't get that judgment right there on time that they've gotten away. And that's not, and you know, God got all the time in the world. He'll get you down the line. So those are things that we have to keep in mind. We have to remember that the Most High is watching everything that we do, the good and the bad. Excuse me. So when we decide that we want to turn our backs on God, then when he turns his back on us, then we in trouble. And those are things that we have to try to avoid. If we stumble along the way, that means that God is still there with us. We make mistakes. We do all those things, but the Most High is definitely always there with us to pick us up. He's a merciful God, and let's remember that. Let's remember that he listens to prayers. So if he listens to prayer, then we have to continue to pray with him. I agree with you that it is not the teaching of the place, but it is the behavior of one or two persons that turns you off. Absolutely so. And keeping that in mind, you know, remember, you're not doing this for me. You're doing this for yourself. And if you know that this is a truth that it's inspiring and it uplifts, it gives you a perspective on life. It gives you a strong foundation. Then live by that. Live by that truth and accept it. Don't cause that truth to be no longer a part of your life because you're angry with a person or a particular place. Like I said earlier, it's not about a a place or the people in the place, sometimes it's one or two individuals that do things that get you upset. So these are things that we have to keep in mind. We have to continually give glory to the Creator. We have to continually uplift His name and also sanctify Him and understand that He is God and God alone, and besides Him there is no other. So that's a message to everybody out there. I was just about ready to say something and it slipped my mind. I had it right at the top of my mind, and somehow it just went away. I got so many things on my mind. Hopefully it'll come back to me. But it was something very important that I wanted to share with everyone. Let's see what's happening over here. See all my peoples that came on. Cause Sadia Yehuda, Shalom, Shalom. Etna P, Shalom, Shalom. Bless my brother Shaaltiel, Shabbat Shalom. Letitia Stewart, Shabbat Shalom. Marcia Bright, Shabbat Shalom. Chanok Israel, Shabbat Shalom. Deborah Mack, Shabbat Shalom. Tavel, Morey Tavel, Shabbat Shalom. Ima Naomi, Isha Chief, Elazar Henry. Oh, Ima! This is I just want to talk about this Ima for a second. This is like one of the pillars of the mothers. She has to been around for at least 50 years, and she is a pillar, a woman of honor and valor, and the Shek Kayel. So woman of standard, and I'm glad to have you here in the room with us. I hope that Chief is listening. Send Chief my love and my respect, and everybody over at the house. Hopefully, I don't know if he's listening. He might be sleeping already, so I'm sending Chief Elazar Ben Levy. That's the one that I always talk about the dietary law and the strictness that he had, and how we didn't understand when we were younger his strictness, but now as you get older you understand what he was trying to tell us, and and the things that he taught us, how they stuck with us, and how not to be eating out of any and every place and doing anything that we want to do. So I thank the Most High God for his life, and that his wife is here listening to us. I thank the Most High God for her life. She's definitely a woman of valor and righteousness. You know, everything that you could think about a good wife and a good mother and all of the above. I got nothing but goodly words for her and for her each one of my initial teachers, and may the Most High God bless them. Hallelujah. So I know who I want to give a shout out to Gaveret Havinia. I believe she's down in Georgia. May the Most High God be with you and bless you and continue to keep you, and that the Most High God will protect you. All right? May the Most High God be with you and everybody else that listens. So we're going to continue. Shalom, shalom. Peace to you also. Hashem Yaakov. So let me see here. Let me see what we're going to do here. I want to continue what I was talking about last week with the different books of the Holy Scriptures, their meanings, the meaning in Hebrew, how to mention them in Hebrew. Many of us don't learn that. Shalom to my brother Isaiah. Shalom, shalom. Many of us don't know the meanings of the book. Some of us, sometimes some of our teachers took for granted that we were just going to learn certain things, and if you didn't go learn it yourself, you were out of the loop and the understanding of certain things and certain little things like the name of the books in Hebrew, how to say them in Hebrew. Many of us didn't learn that. So now we begin to learn these particular names in Hebrew, and it's like a new thing because we didn't learn them. We didn't learn them on our own. Our teachers assumed that we would go and learn them on our own, and sometimes assumptions are not good. So now, I just want to give a shout out to my brother, Chief Abdiel. Just want to show him that purchase his book, right? Ancient Kemet on Trial, a meticulous look at the true origin of Kemetic culture and religion. Abdiel Ben Levi. Israelites writing and having stuff down. This book is about, because the Kemetic community claims that we plagiarized everything from them, and that we stole everything from Kemet. Kemet is ancient Egypt, so they saying that we got everything from them. So in this book, he debunks that theory, and he shows how Kemet basically got stuff from the Asiatic tribes that came in there, namely from Mesopotamia, or Sumer, as we know Mesopotamia to be. And it's a good read if you're into history and ancient history and you want to go into that. I have to purchase his other book about the mothers of the Tanakh, the ancient Israelite women. Also, from what I heard, is an excellent read. We have to support our writers. Call Mikhail. Who wrote a book? I think Nasi Yashuva wrote a book. You got quite a few books out there. So those are things that we have to support, people that we have to support, our own writers and the people who write books and try to bring understanding to us all. So let me get back to what we were doing last week. I want to go back to what we were doing. Going through. Let me share my screen. Here we go. So now, this is just a lot, like I said, a lot of our teachers just assume that we learned these things. So right here, I'm going to start out with Tanakh, right? And what Tanakh means. So to everyone on Facebook, you could go to D.C.B channel on YouTube and catch our live stream that's going on right now. Hodiah Stewart, Shabbat Shalom, my brother. So you could go once again to D.C.B on YouTube. Search, put that on the search, and our channel will come up, the live stream, and you'll be able to see the slideshow that I'm presenting right now. So hopefully everybody could hear me clearly. If you can hear me clearly and you can see everything clearly, just give me a 1 and I'll proceed. So now, a lot of this stuff is readily available on the internet. The problem is that a lot of times we take things for granted. As we read, we just get the understanding that our teachers give us, and we don't really go into explanation or deep thought about what's going on. So the Tanakh is basically what we call the Holy Scriptures, right? The Holy Scriptures consist of the 24 books of the Old Testament, as they know it in the is it 24? It's about, I believe it's 24. I don't want to be wrong. So 24. Well, it's 24 books of the prophets. My bad. The Tanakh. You see, that's a good question right there. I never really read that, but or counted the books of the Tanakh, or don't have a knowledge of it completely, but I'll have that for you guys. But it's my mistake. It's 24 books of the prophet, I believe, and that's what we're going through today. But we're going to quickly review. We're going to quickly review the what we had what we did last week. And first, we're going to start with the word Tanakh, right? And give me a second here. The word Tanakh, right? What we know as the Holy Scriptures or the Old Testament, and the Christian Bible, as they will say it, in the King James Bible, we know it as the Old Testament, right? So let me see here. Give me 1 second here. All right, so somebody put 39 books. 39 books. Thank you. I knew somebody would put it in the chat, and the 24 prophets. I believe that's what I was thinking about, the prophets. It's 24 prophets. So when we look at it and we think about Tanakh, we don't know what the word means. We know Holy Scriptures, and we know that consists of the 39 books of the Old Testament. But what does Tanakh mean? You know, we use the Hebrew word. What does it mean? So Tanakh is actually an acronym. Just give me a second here. So I go back to my other screen. So Tanakh is an acronym. It's an acronym of the first Hebrew letter of each of the Masoretic texts, 3 traditional subdivisions. So the Masoretic text is basically the Masoretes, the people that most of where we see the Hebrew scriptures come from, and that's a lesson for a whole nother day that I'll probably bring somebody in to explain that. I understand somewhat what it means, but I know a brother that has a deeper understanding of it, that hopefully I could get him to come and explain the whole Masoretic text and what it means. But that's basically what we read from the Masoretic text, right? So now you have right here 3 traditional subdivisions. So there's 3 subdivisions within the Holy Scriptures, which are the teachings, or the Torah, what we know as the Torah or the law, right? What we call the Torah is the law, but it really means teaching or instructions, right? Then we have, right here it says, the teaching, also known as the 5 books of Moses, the Nevi'im, the prophets, right? Prophet, Nabi. So Nevi'im means prophets, more than one, plural, right? So we get the 24 books of the prophets, and the Ketuvim, which are the writings, which that you will find like the Psalms, the Proverbs, Ecclesiasticus, songs, Solomon, and so forth and so on. Those are the writings. So now, the word Tanakh is an acronym for, and if you see it at the bottom, it says Tanakh, right? But it's really an acronym for Torah, Nevi'im. So Torah, which is instruction, you see it at the bottom, down here, the T for Tanakh, or the Tau, right? Then you got the Nun, right? Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, right? So you got the acronym there, and that's where we get Tanakh from. Tanakh. Shabbat Shalom, Ima, Lucy, Bryce, Alicia died. So now that's where we get the word Tanakh from. It's an acronym. It has no meaning. It's just an acronym that's put together, and it says the word Tanakh, and that's what consists of the books of the Torah, the books of the prophets, and the books of the writings. Torah, right? And you got Nevi'im, and then you got Ketuvim, which is the writings. So Nevi'im is prophets, Ketuvim is writing. So when you see that im at the end, most of the times it's plural, right? Nevi'im, that's prophets, plural. Where you say prophet, one prophet is Nabi. You say that Nabi, that's one prophet. Ketuvim, right? Writings, I mean. So we keep those things in mind. So there you have it. So now, let's do a quick review of what we did last week. So this is actually new. I added this so we get an understanding of what Torah is. So as you see here, the word Torah, which is Tau, Wow, Resh, and a Hey, right? Torah, instruction or teaching. That's what Torah means. We interpret it as law, but it's instruction or teaching. Or in Christianity, the Pentateuch, which is 5 books. So the Torah consists of the first 5 books of what we know as the first 5 books of Moses, which are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, right? So those are the first 5 books. Is the central reference of our Israelite tradition, right? So this is our foundation. Torah is our foundation. That's how we govern ourselves, and that's how we live. So thus is the central reference to our Israelite tradition, what we live by, what we do. We don't add unto the law, we don't diminish from it. We don't add unto the Torah, we don't diminish, or at least we're not supposed to. It has a range of meanings. It can most specifically mean the first 5 books of the 24 books of the Tanakh, right? Or the 39 books of the Tanakh. Excuse me. The term Torah means instruction and offers a way of life for those who follow it. So, let me correct this. Made a mistake here. I'm making the correction as I'm talking to you guys, because I know I'm going to forget to come back to this. All right. The term Torah means instruction and offers a way of life for those who follow it. It can mean the continued narrative from the book of Genesis to the end of the Tanakh. So some people look at the entire Tanakh as Torah, but the Torah is the word of God. It's what God basically gave Moses on the mountain and was explained in the first 5 books. That's literally what we call the Torah, the first 5 books, like I mentioned them before. And we're going to have a quick review of the first 5 books again so that we get an understanding of it. So that's our understanding of what Torah is, instruction or teaching. So like I said last week, Genesis, an origin, creation, or beginning. It's a Greek word, right? Bereshit, Beit, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yod, Tau, right? Bereshit. Bereshit. That's how you say it in Hebrew. Bereshit, the first book of the Holy Scriptures, or the Tanakh. Bereshit. In the beginning. That's what it means, right? So it has the relatively, it has the same meaning as Genesis, right? So now we go to the second book of the Torah, or the Tanakh. And the Bible, or the Holy Scriptures in English, is written Exodus. Exodus, a going out, a departure, or emigration, usually of a large number of people. It's also a Greek word. But in the Hebrew, it's said to be Shemot. 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 It means names. It doesn't have the same meaning that it has in English, but it means names. It doesn't have the same meaning as the English word for Exodus, right? And Shemot comes from It's basically the first few words of the beginning of that book. Where we get this, these are the names of the people that came down, or that came with Jacob into Egypt, right? And it start mentioning all the names of everybody, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go there real quick. Just a quick review. It says, with Ele Shemot, B'nai Yisrael, these are the names of Yisrael's sons who came to Egypt with Yaakov. So just mentions all the names of the sons of Jacob that came down to Egypt with Yaakov. So Shemot means names. The next word, Leviticus. Leviticus, third book of the Pentateuch, right? The Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books, circa 1400 from late Latin Leviticus, liber, literally book of the Levites. So Leviticus literally means book of the Levites, from Greek to leutikon, biblion, from leuites, from Hebrew lewi, right? So it's the book of the Levites. That's the literal meaning in Greek, right? Book of the Levites. But in Hebrew, we say Wayikra, which means and he called. And that name is derived from, once again, the first few words in the book of Leviticus, as we know it in English, is Wayikra, and he called, right? The next one, Numbers. Numbers. The name of the book comes from the 2 censuses taken of the Israelites in the book of Numbers. So that's where the name of that book comes from the 2 censuses taken in the wilderness. But in Hebrew, the name is Bemidbar. Bemidbar. Beit Mem Dalet Beit Resh. Bemidbar. Bemidbar. In the desert of. In the desert of, and what desert is that? The wilderness of Sinai, right? So that's what it's talking about. Bemidbar. So quick review. The next one, Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy, second law. That's what it means in Greek, second law. Deuteronomy. The book of Deuteronomy is basically a reiteration of the Torah. As Moses is departing, Moses is about ready to leave this earth, he reiterates to the children of Israel the Torah that was given to him by the Creator. Thus, the Greek names the book Deuteronomy, second law. Not meaning that Moses added a law to it, but he just reiterated the laws. And Devarim means words or things, right? So Devarim has 2 meanings. You have to know what content or what context is being used in as you're using it, right? So right here in this instance, I believe the word is being used, or Devarim means words, right? And these are the words, and I believe it's Moses speaking. Let me go there so I can read the first line and we get an understanding of what it means. I like showing rather than just. It says, Ele Hadvarim, Asher Diber Moshe El Kal. So the Hadvarim, that's where you find the Devarim at, right? You see Devarim in the midst of that. What is is the Hadvarim. These are the words, right? These are the words, Hadvarim, the words. So it doesn't mean second law, but it means the words, right? the words, and it also means things. And like I explained last week, one of the most famous songs in our Israelite community, where there's peace, there's love. All things come from Yahweh, and then we get to the last part, Kol Devarim Yahweh, right? All things come from Yahweh, right? Kol Devarim, Kol means all, Devarim means things. Yahweh come from Yahweh. So we see in this instance right here in the book of Deuteronomy, it means words, and when you put it in that song, or when we sing it in that song, it means things, right? So it has a dual meaning, it has a double meaning for everybody out there. So hopefully everybody's still following me. I hope that everybody gets what I'm showing, and it's not confusing you much. Oh, you didn't catch it all last week. Okay, no problem. You know, you can always go back and see it. Is up there in the it's up there on the stream. All right, so now we get into, so we finished with the Torah, right? Like I said, we finished with the Torah, instructional teaching on Christianity, the Pentateuch, the 5 books, is the central reference of our Israelite tradition, which is our foundation, the first 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, right? That's the first 5 books. So we done with the Torah, right? And if you will see that if you get like a Tanakh, it will be sectioned off. If you opened up your Tanakh, right? If you have a Tanakh right now that has Hebrew in it, as you open up different sections, it will give you a page. Like right here, for example, right here it says, before you open up the Torah, this is called the Keter Crown Bible, right? Koreb. So it says right here, if you can see it, it says Torah. It says Torah right there, right? So most books have that. And in the Torah, it consists of the first 5 books. You have it sectioned off. So now when you go to the next section, after you end in Deuteronomy or Devarim, you get to the end of Devarim. You get to the end of Devarim, chapter 34 in Devarim. And as you get to the next section, then you're going to have the Nevi'im. The Nevi'im. You see, before that section starts off, the Nevi'im, which is the prophets, the Nevi'im. So now that separation is made so that you know you're going into a different part of the book. The Torah usually comes, if you buy like in Hebrew, it will be like a Chumash, or will be, and the Chumash most of the times have like the commentary of the the old rabbis and stuff like that, Rashi and Ezra, all these different what they call sages. But and then you get a regular holy scriptures like this, then you're going to have the separation. So now we get to Nevi'im, which is Nun, Veit, Yod, Aleph, Yod, Mem, right? So now you got spokespersons or prophets, right? Spokespersons or prophet. Is the second main division of the Hebrew Bible, as they'll call it, the Tanakh, as we know as the Tanakh, right? So it's the second main division. As I said, first we started with the Torah. Now the Nevi'im is the second division between the Torah instruction, and the Ketuvim, the writings. So the writings, we will get to that later. It contained two subgroups: the former prophets, which is Nevi'im, Rishonim, which is the first prophets, right? And the Nevi'im, Rishonim, the narrative books of Joshua, Judges, Shemuel, and Kings, and the latter prophets, or Nevi'im, Acharonim. You know, like Akare, when we say Akare Shabbat, meaning after, right? I'll do it after the Shabbat. So Acharonim means, you know, the later groups of the prophets, or which is the books of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and the 12 minor prophets, what they call the minor prophets, but that's what is written now. So hopefully we understand that part. So the Nevi'im is the prophets, it's the book of the prophets. So basically, so we're going to get into explanation of some of the books next. So now we have here the book of Joshua, right? The book of Joshua. Let me write that in. The book of Joshua. The book of Joshua. The book of Joshua. You put a space right here. The book of Joshua. So we see that. And let me save it. Save. Is the sixth book is the sixth book in the Holy Scriptures and the first book of the Deuteronomistic history, the story of Israel from the conquest of Canaan. It tells of the campaigns of the Israelites in central, southern, and northern Canaan, the destruction of their enemies, and the division of the land among the 12 tribes, framed by two set-piece speeches. The first by God commanding the conquest of the land, and at the end, the last by Joshua warning of the need for faithful observance of the law, Torah, revealed to Moses. So Yehoshua, right, it's the name of the book, is named after the general and is named after the servant of Moses, or the minister of Moses, because he's the one who brought the people of Israel across into the Holy Land. So the book is named after him, and the narratives are basically about Joshua's ruling over the people and the conquest of some of the lands, or the places in Canaan, or conquering the land of Canaan. But what happened is, we didn't do everything that the Most High told us to do. We didn't drive away all the Canaanites like the Most High told us to do, so they became a thorn on our side. And by the time we get to the book of Judges, people start ruling over us because we didn't listen to the laws of the Most High God. The Most High told us to drive away the 7 Canaanite nations, and we didn't do that. So that came back to bite us in the Akkadiot, which is the behind, and Akkadiot. So that came back to bite us, and later when we get to the book of Judges, we see that people start ruling over us because we didn't listen to the words of God. So in the book of Joshua, basically Joshua, during the time of Joshua, is probably the time that the nation was at its best, because Joshua did not play with the people. If you messed around with Joshua, he put you to death. He didn't play. He didn't give too much breaks, because he seen what the people put Moses through. So hence, when Joshua came about it, he wasn't the player's coach. He was the disciplinarian, and he put discipline within the nation. But unfortunately, the people went backwards, right? They went back into the ways of almost Egypt, and they started doing that which was wrong in the sight of the Most High God. By the time we get to Judges, you said the children of Israel did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High again. And it seemed like that's the narrative for every story that begins, that we did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High God again. So this is what's going on. But with Joshua, we was flying straight. So Yehoshua means Yehovah is salvation. Yehoshua, it means Yehovah is salvation. That's what this name means. And this is talking about the general of Israel and also the minister to the prophet Moses. It's not talking about anyone else. That's who this book is about. That's who this name is attributed to. All right? So just trying to make that clear. So let us move on. So we know it's the sixth book of the Holy Scriptures. Next book, Sefer Shotim. So Sefer just means book, right? Sefer means book. So when you see somebody say Sefer Shotim, Sefer Yehoshua, don't get afraid of the word. Sefer just means book, right? Sefer Melakim, right? Book of the kings. Sefer Shemuel, the book of Samuel. Sefer Bereshit, the book of what we know as Genesis, or the book of Bereshit. Sefer Shemot, the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus, right? So these are things that we just keep in mind and don't be afraid of. Sefer Wayikra, the book of Leviticus. Sefer Sefer Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. Sefer Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, so forth and so on. You don't be afraid of it. You try to get a grasp and understanding of it, and try to get the Most High God to bring you the understanding. But this is how we say these names in Hebrew. So Sefer Shoftim. Sefer is or Shoftim is Shin, Fe, Tav, Yod, and Mem. Give me 1 second right here. Let me see. Give me 1 second here. I know I'm sharing my screen here all over the place. When I switch screens, I don't know if it. All right. Just give me 1 second here. One second. Don't get away from here now. Just give me 1 second. Sometimes in the midst of everything, you gotta. One second. Okay. All right, back to the book of Judges. Sefer Shoftim, right? Shin, Fei, Tau. All right, so not Tau, Tet. You see, that's when you don't stay sharp with your stuff, you lose it. So Tet, Yod, and the Mem Sophi. So now you got Sefer Shoftim, which is the book of Judges, is the seventh book of the Holy Scriptures and in the Christian Bible. It contains the history of the biblical judges, the divinely inspired leaders whose direct knowledge of Yahweh allows them to act as champions for the Israelites against oppression by foreign rulers and models of the wise, faithful behavior required of them by their God, Yahweh, following the exodus from Egypt and the conquest of Canaan. But also what we see in the book of Shoftim is that we get a lot of people that are doing that which is wrong before the Creator. So God begins to punish us with rulers, put rulers over us. Right off the bat, I remember Eglon, and you got different people. We fall under the Philistines, and the Most High God sends us Shimshon or Samson during that time. I believe you also got the story of Yeftach in there. In Judges, you get one of our women prophetess. Her name is Deborah, or Deborah the prophetess, and the Most High God delivers Sisera into the hands of Yael. These are just stories that I remember off the top of my head. So this is what you find in the book of Judges. We got to start venturing into these books, read these books on your own. Try to gain some understanding of what's going on there, and you see the deliverance of the Most High. But nonetheless, in the book of Judges, we get a lot of what the Most High God calls so what we see here is that's what this is. All right, so this is the book of Sefer, or the book is also named Sefer Shoftim, Sefer Shoftim, which is the book of Judges. Let's go to the next one. The first and second books of Samuel. Hebrew, Sefer Shemuel. So now you got Sefer Shemuel, book of Shemuel or Samuel. So now you got Samuel begins with the prophet Shemuel's birth and God's call to him as a boy. So if we read the beginning of the book of Samuel, we see that his mother Hannah, she was barren. She couldn't have any children. What's his father's name? Elkanah. Elkanah, I believe, is his father's name. He had two wives, Peninnah, and he also had Hannah. So Hannah was barren. Peninnah had a bunch of kids. And Peninnah, basically, I'm just giving you a synopsis of the story. Peninnah would, she would embarrass Hannah and make fun of her because she couldn't have any children. And in those times, a woman's pride is to be able to bear children. She couldn't bear any children. So Hannah went down, took her to task for that and just basically was ridiculing her. So they would go down to at that time, they said the temple, but it was the tabernacle because the temple had not been built. They would go down there and Elkanah will give everybody their portion to offer up. But he will give Hannah a double portion because she didn't have any children. So one day Hannah was praying by the tabernacle wall, and Eli saw her moving her lips, but no words were coming out, so he thought she was drunk. And he told her to move away from there, you drunk one. And she said to him, I'm not drunk. I'm just, I'm praying to the Creator for, to give me a child, and thus and thus and thus. She was barren. So Eli, apologized to her, and basically she went along her way, and long story short, she conceived. She had a child. His name was Shemuel. But the promise that she made to God was that if the child, if God gave her a son, that he will give him back to the Lord. So in turn, what happened is when she had the son, she waited for 3 years. She didn't come back down to where the tabernacle was at. She waited for 3 years. After she waited the 3 years, when I believe it was 3 years till when the child was weaned, she brought the child down and gave him up to the service of the temple or of the tabernacle. And the child lived there, and he became a great prophet in Israel. He was the one that anointed King Saul, and he also anointed Melech David as kings of Israel. He also was the one that brought the unfortunate news to Eli that him and his sons were going to die. And then, if you read in those books, you also begin to see in the book of Samuel, you see the life of King David. You also see the life of Solomon and some of the other kings of Israel. But Samuel, for most part, has the life of King David. For most part, has the life of King David. So you can read that, all the history and all that stuff in there. And then you get into the life of King Solomon. So the name Shemuel, it means name of God, or God has heard. Name of God, or God has heard. Shemuel, right? So Shem means name, right? And El means God. So in some circles it said God is heard. From Shema, I guess, from the Shema. So that's what these books mean. So that's why I'm going to stop right here for this, till we continue. We got weeks to go, so we're going to get through all the books, the meaning of them, what they mean, what they stand, what's in it, what's the history in it, and hopefully you get. And as I'm going along, I'm learning also, because a lot of this stuff I took for granted, or when I had it, I just didn't take it seriously. I didn't take it seriously. So, you learn, you go along, you learn, and you learn, and you learn. Torah Yehovah. So, give me 1 second here. Let me stop sharing my screen. And go back to my peoples. We got 47 viewers thus far. Hope that everyone is feeling blessed out there. I want to read something real quick. Shabbat Shalom, Jimmy Jones. One second here. I want to read something. So now, Give me 1 second here. When y'all get a chance, check out all the interviews and the clips that I got from the convention, from the graduation. In fact, from the graduation, our brother Chief Benjamin got his degree as a rabbi. So you get a chance, check that out. All right, you get a chance, check that out. When you get a chance, check that out. So now, I want you to give me a second here. I want to go run and get another book. I'm going to block my camera for a second, but I'll be right back. People on Facebook Live, I'll be right back. Give me a second. I had to go get my Apocrypha real quick. My Apocrypha. I want to go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 26. A little bit of wisdom, something that we could go to sleep with, some understanding, all right? Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, or the book of Sirach chapter 26. So now, I need some light over here so I could see. I still can't find my glasses. They got lost in my house. I can't find them. I don't know where they're at, but hopefully I'll run into them at some point. Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 reads, "Happy is the husband of a good wife. The number of his days will be double." So why is a husband that have a good wife happy? Because a good wife is going to do all the things that a good wife does. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we get it twisted, and I don't want us to confuse a good wife just with somebody who cooks and clean and all of that stuff. A good wife is a person who is not committing adultery, is not a loose woman. A good wife encompasses so many more things than just somebody who cooks and cleans. That's part of what you want in a wife, but that's not the only thing that makes a good wife. A good wife is a person who's there, listens to you. A good wife doesn't mean that everything that you say she's going to agree with. Is sometimes you might get a little, because like I said before, that word connecto, right? That means someone that's a polar opposite, that's going to sometimes oppose you. She's not going to always agree with you, because you ever heard of this thing called women's intuition? Sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes they're put there to help us to see certain things. So these are the things that we have to keep in mind, and these are the things that we have to have understanding of. So it says, happy is the husband of a good wife. You're going to be happy because she's going to take care of you, and along with the other things, your favorite foods, the things that you like, the things that you desire, those are the things that she's going to help you out with. And in turn and reciprocally, a husband is going to do the same thing for his good wife. He's going to return the favor with good things. So these are just instructions on how we could have a better home and how we can have a better life. It reads on, verse 2. A loyal wife brings joy to her husband, and he will complete his years in peace. A loyal wife, meaning that she's not going aside. The society that we live in today, right? And loyalty encompasses so many things. She's not against you, right? Meaning, not saying that she in the house you're not going to disagree on certain things, meaning she's not against you in the sight of people. There's no embarrassing. She's not an embarrassing woman. She's not going to be someone that's going to drive you off, the edge, or make you jump out the window or something like that. No, this is going to be somebody loyal that's going to live with you, and he will complete his years in peace. It's even saying, no problem, Laquita Turner. Shalom. So this is even speaking about this good wife in terms of the husband going to die before her. That's how good of a wife she is. He said, he will complete his years in peace. Meaning he's not going to have all that crazy arguing, all that craziness that goes on sometimes in relationships because we lack understanding, or we don't care to have understanding. So these are important things in a relationship to keep a relationship going. A good wife, a good husband, these are things that keep us going. Verse 3, a good wife is a great blessing. She will be granted among the blessings of the man who fears Yahweh. She will be granted amongst the blessings of the man, meaning in all the things that you consider a blessing to you, your wife is going to be considered one of those blessings. Especially if you fear Yahweh, because a God-fearing man wants a God-fearing woman. So when the Most High God blesses you with a God-fearing woman, or he gives you a God-fearing woman, that's a blessing unto you. And those are things that we have to keep close to us, close to our bosom. Cherish them things and keep them and keep them as a treasure. A good wife, a good woman, a good husband. Cherish that, because you don't get that all the time. Everyone doesn't get that. Can you imagine you get one of those wives that drive you off the edge? Some of those people, or a husband that just, he's no good as a husband. Just think about those things. So a good wife is granted as a blessing unto a good man, to a righteous man. Verse 4, whether rich or poor, his heart is content, and at all times his face is cheerful. Whether rich or poor, nothing better than a good wife. You don't got to have all the riches in the world, but if you got a good wife, man, you so happy with your life, because she's going to make things so much easier for you. She's not, when you come home, she's not in your face complaining about this, about that. She make do with what she has, because she understands that we live in poverty. Like so many of our mothers did back in the day, they made do with whatever they had. If it was rice and eggs that you had to eat, for those of you before you did Torah, when we before you did Torah, you ate, some rice and pork and beans or something like that. And you graduated when you came to Torah, and you started eating vegetable beans. But she made it do and made it feel like you were eating the biggest meal in the world. She cut up some franks in it, cook it up, and you had some rice and some vegetarian beans and some franks, and you had a meal. And she didn't complain, because she understood that times was hard. She understood that her husband was out there trying to make it happen. Shabbat Shalom, my brother. And these were the circumstances of the battle, but she was in the battle with you. She's in the battle with you, and she don't downplay what is it that you're doing, because she see you. So whether rich or poor, she still appreciates you. That's a good wife. It says, and at all times his face is cheerful. Why? Because his wife brings the light to him. 5, of 3 things my heart is frightened, and of a 4th I am in great fear. Slander in the city. So frightened of slander in the city, people slandering you, saying things that are not truthful about you. The gathering of a mob because you don't know if the gathering of the mob is for good or for bad. It says a false accusation. A false accusation is something that you didn't do, but people are accusing you of it, and now here it is. It's like I just heard the woman with that accused Emmet of grabbing her and doing all that stuff and said he'd been with white women before. After all these years, she finally admitted that none of that stuff happened. It's coming out in some book. I just heard about the article today that she's like 82 years old now, and her family is keeping her away from people. But she gave an interview to someone when she was 72 years old, and she admitted that the story was fabricated. And the man who killed Emmet Till, which was her husband at the time, he's dead, and her brother-in-law, they're both dead. But the damage is already done. The damage is already done, and they're not going to prosecute her. She's 82 years old. They're going to say she didn't commit the crime, but it was her words that got that young man killed. So those are things that we have to keep in mind. So that false accusation cost that young man his life. And these are the things that frighten a person, because a false accusation could get you 25 years in prison. It could get you 10 years in prison, whatever. A false accusation goes a long way. In this place, in this unrighteous place. All these are worse than death. But it is the heartache, and this is the fault, but it is the heartache and sorrow when a wife is jealous of a rival and a tongue lashing makes it known to all. When a wife is jealous of a rival and a tongue lashing makes it known to all. So what is this talking about? It's talking about multiple women, multiple wives. This is a reality of our culture. And it says nothing is worse than a wife who's jealous of a rival, meaning the other woman. And then on top of that, her jealousy comes out in the way that she acts and the way that she carries on. Because of her jealousy, she can't control her feelings, so she begins to hurt with the words, and that's never good. I'm not one to talk about how people should feel, because I'm not a woman, I'm a man. So I don't know how you're supposed to feel. But there is something that's called discipline, and there's something that's called there's something called shame. A house is to cover shame, meaning everything is not supposed to be out in the open. Show your husband the respect that's due unto his name, or that's due unto him. Put respect on your husband. You might not like something, but embarrassing him in the streets is not the right place to go with it. It's not the right place to go with it, because you embarrass him in the street, you take away from who he is and what he is and his honor, because of your frustration and your jealousy and your envy. So like I said, I'm not one to tell people how they should feel. People are going to have their feelings, and you got to work those feelings out within yourself. That's just reality. You got to work that out within yourself. And we live in a society where it's not accepting of polygyny as we know it. So it's easier a lot of times for sisters to carry in that manner, or to carry themselves in that vein, and it's easy just to depart from your husband. And I'm veering off a little bit from the explanation of what I'm trying to bring. But what I see a lot is this, and what I can't understand is this, right? And I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but I'm saying this because I've seen it. It's not like I'm making this up, and I'm not throwing shots at anyone. But this is what I've seen in Israel throughout the years that I've been in Israel. Okay, you catch your feelings, your husband takes another e-shot. So you get your feelings, you're upset. I get it. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you own your husband, like you've been together with him for all these years. But then now y'all divorced because you can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't do this. It's just I can't carry it. And your husband might be a good man, might be a real good man. You didn't lose the fact that he was a good man. He's a good man, but you just can't live with the fact that he got another one. So now you separate from him. You separate from him. You're upset with him because you love him so much, but you separate from him because you can't see him with another woman. And although he's being upfront and he's showing you he's not doing it behind your back, so you separate from him. And this is what I often see in Israel. You separate from your husband and you go on, you move on and become a second wife, or you start messing with someone who's already married, who's married with a wife. So you got two things going on here. The first thing is a bit of hypocrisy because you're upset with the next woman that's coming in because you feel like she's breaking your marriage up. She's not breaking your marriage up. Your husband chose to take her, right? But now you're upset. You're upset with the whole situation, right? So you get upset because you can't see yourself being in that relationship, but yet you go to a man that's married, and the same way you felt about somebody breaking what you thought somebody was breaking up your relationship, in turns you doing it to someone else. You don't care, or you don't mind dealing with him while he's with his wife. So this is the rationale that I don't understand sometimes in this place, in this nation, and with the understanding of these people, of some people. Now you got some women that deal with it, and I'm not saying that those relationships are all hunky dory. They're not. I'm not going to give you a if we see in the Torah that Raquel and Leah were blood sisters and they did not get along because they were fighting for one man. What do you think is going to happen today? You understand what I'm saying? What do you think is going to happen today? You think we're any different than anybody else? We're no different than anybody else. You know, sometimes I don't like touching on this topic because it's a touchy topic, but sometimes you have to when you get into certain parts of Torah or you get into certain parts of certain scriptures because it's just to bring clarity to the matter. I I try not to interfere in people's relationships. I try not to give advice. Um, so these are things that we have to keep in mind. So these are things that we have to keep in mind and we have to understand. So these are things that we keep in mind. So let's move on from that. Let's move on from that. I don't like dwelling on that. I don't like making that like a big thing. I'm just showing an example because the examples are clear and you have to think about it within your mind and your thought. And you have to gain understanding from it. I seen good relationships, like good men. Like you run from your husband, right? Like you run from your husband who was providing for you, looking out for you, doing everything for you. And even though he was doing all these things and he took on another one, then you run from him to go so you go from being the queen to just being like, I mean, he gave you everything. And because those emotions got the best of you, you left your home, you left everything that you had to go do what? You know, to be somebody else's second or third, you messing with some dude that whatever. incomprehensible. I don't get it. Those things I don't understand. Those things I don't get. I don't get that. You know, you go, you run, then you out there just running amok, and you have stability. You know, when you get older, that stuff gets played out. That stuff gets worn out. You know that running around, that you're not no spring chicken, or you're not, that stuff gets played out. You know, but I'm not judging anyone. Some people have their relationships. I'm just making an observation. It doesn't reflect on anybody else or how everybody else feel. I don't want anyone to take this personal, because I'm not throwing shots at anyone. I'm just making points and observations that I've seen throughout the years in Israel and what people do. All right? If you're happy with your, and I'm going to emphasize this, if you're happy with your wife, and I do not tell people you need to go take another one. That's not me. That's not the person that I am. I don't tell people go take another one, go do this. I don't get into people's relationships. I don't tell I don't tell people what they should do. I don't tell people you need to divorce your wife. I don't do none of that. I don't do none of that. If somebody comes to me for advice, I just tell them, look, man, go to Yah, make the best decision. I listen. I do more listening when people come to me with things like that, because I know how relationships work. You know what I'm saying? And then the way relationships work is difficult, because you got people's feelings and love, and if you give the wrong advice, you could cause somebody misery forever. It's not that I don't think that men don't know how to deal with polygamy. I think that the society that we live in dictates how men deal with polygamy, because we're not living in a place that practices polygyny. You understand what I'm saying? At least outwardly. If we lived in a society that practiced it, like in Nigeria and certain places in Africa where and I see that my count is going up and up and up, because everybody is saying, "Who's is talking about polygyny? He's finally talking about it." I think what happens is the society that we live in, it gives everybody an option. It gives the sisters an option. Let's be real. It gives them an option. So the man has to try to deal with whatever is presented in front of him. So therefore, it's like a juggling act. You're trying to juggle, because you, whether you know it or not, your husband loves you. He loves somebody else. He loves somebody. He might love another person. He might love two people, but you can't see that. You know what I'm saying? Or one woman can't see that if she was the one that was there first. So those are things that we have to deal with, and that's the kind of understanding that we got to get. And like I say, I'm not judging anyone's relationship. You know, you got old timers, you got people that been through it, that been through the mill. That who am I to give advice on marriage? I'm still pretty young. You got people that had 30 years in, 40 years in, 50 years in, like Chief of Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? 50 something. They could tell you better than I can. You know, but I'm just going on observations and the things that I see. Um, and that's just what it is, you know. So society dictates a lot how a man deals with the situation, and how the situation plays out. But if we lived in a society where it was that was the norm, and that's what it was, then it'll be probably a lot different, you know. Don't mean that women will be happy about it, but it'll be more acceptable, because you're not the only one going through it. So when you go to complain to another woman, she's gonna be like, deal with it. I gotta deal with two other women. So you only talking about one, please. You understand? But today you could get that support. Oh, you don't gotta go for that child. And people break up relationships because they're miserable. So they want to see somebody else miserable. And you leave your man who's been a provider, looking out for you for all these years, doing things for you, and on a feeling. So I don't know. A lot of y'all know better than me. I don't know. I'm a pup. You know what I mean? I'm a pup. I'm just going on my observation. So that's all I want to say about that. So let me see here. The count went up. He's talking about polygyny. All right, so I'm just going to say this again because I see my sister. She's on fire on Facebook. So I just want to say this: we are trying to live the laws of Yah, but we're doing it in a society that basically does not accept the laws of Yah. So it's crazy. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna just stay on it, you know, on that level and just keep it moving. All right. I didn't mean to stir up no one's pot. I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable about this conversation. I don't really like talking about it because I feel like everybody has to deal with their own situation. And everybody deals with their situation differently. No two men deal with the situation the same way. And you can't look at somebody else's relationship and say, I want mine to be like that, because you really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You might not really want your situation to be like that. So we often look at things, oh, why couldn't mine be like this? It's different. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. Just like raising up children, all children are different. No one child is the same from the other. So it's all different. All relationships are different too. So you can't allow somebody to come into your relationship and dictate how your relationship should be. You know, and that's the mistake that a lot of us make. So that's what that is. Let me see here. All right, let's move on from that. I know my count gonna go down now because now we moving on from polygyny. All right, here we go. All right, verse 7. A bad wife is a chafing yoke. Taking hold of her is like grasping a scorpion. They got away with words. You know what a chafing yoke is? Like you ever shave, like women when you shave, that's a nag, right? Whenever you walk and your thighs is rubbing, and it just that chafing, and sometimes that chafing turns into a sore. They said that's what a nagging wife is like. Taking hold of her is like grasping a scorpion. That means she gonna bite you or she gonna hit you with that poison. So let's try not to be bad wives. Verse 8. A drunken wife arouses great anger. She cannot hide her shame. A drunken wife, you shouldn't be out in the street drinking and embarrassing yourself and your family, right? Because your mouth is going to bring shame to you and to your household. So those are things that you have to keep in mind. You have to understand that everything in moderation. You have a problem with alcohol or whatever, you got to change that. You got to cut back. You can't do those things. Those are things that we have to keep in mind and we have to have understanding of. As women of God, you cannot be out there bringing shame to yourself, to the nation, to your family. These are things that we have to think about. Verse 9. The haughty stare the haughty stare betrays an unchaste wife. Her eyelids give her away. The haughty stare betrays an unchaste wife. Her eyelids give her away. Meaning, women with wandering eyes for other men. You know what I'm saying? Wandering eyes for other men. You're married, but yet you're looking at the next man. Your husband should be the treasure of your eyes. That's your husband. When you chose him, Because most of the time the women choose you. The man don't choose you. I mean, he could like you, but you got to make the decision, especially in this society. Most of us ain't come from no arranged marriages. So when you chose him, he should be the treasure of your eyes. Once you start having wandering eyes, you got one door inside inside the chamber of sin. Because once you put the other foot in there, you know, it could happen at work. You could be messing with the guy at work. You know, this society, they got this stuff about my work husband. That's you shouldn't even be playing like that. You know, my work husband, my work wife. You know, and she's married, and you an Israelite man. Nah, I don't play like that. Nah, I'm not your work husband. No, we don't play those games. No, you're not my work wife. You're married. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of stuff. We shy away from that stuff, and we don't follow up on that stuff. So those are things that we have to think of. We have to remember, and we have to keep in mind. It says, verse 10, keep strict watch over a headstrong daughter, or else when she finds liberty, she will make use of it. So you have to examine your children. And if you have a headstrong daughter, you have to keep strict watch over them. This is talking about a society where we could do that before. Today, when you and it goes back to society. Society dictates that your children, when they become 18, they're adults. They could do what they want to do. You can't stop them from doing it, but they still depend on you. So society dictates it different. So because you know you got this daughter that's a little bit forward and a little bit out there, you trying to hold her in, but society tells you that nah, you can't hold her in anymore. You know what I'm saying? So now when you put her out your house, society tells you, oh, well, how cruel are you? You know what I'm saying? You put your daughter out because she wanted to, because she broke the curfew a couple of times, or she did this, or she's going around there and she's being a floozy, or she laying up with guys and stuff like that. You don't want that in the midst of you. You don't want to. You didn't. That's not what you raised up. That's not what you want in the midst of your other children. So you separate yourself from them, but society looks at you as if you're wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So those are things when it says that you keep watch over a headstrong daughter. This is talking about in times when you could basically you could shut your daughter down and tell her you ain't going nowhere. You're gonna stay in this house until you get married off. But today, unfortunately, you know, we live in a society where we don't do that. We don't practice that. You know what I'm saying? So you got a headstrong daughter. It didn't mean because we were Israelites that our daughters didn't violate or didn't cross the line. They did that. And even if you taught them as good as you taught them, sometimes they rebel. That's life, especially here in captivity. They do that. So it said, keep a watch over a headstrong daughter, right? Got a lot of opinions, and it's good to have opinions, but when your opinions go overboard and they going against the laws of God, then you have a problem in your hand. So those are things that you have to keep in mind. A headstrong daughter, verse 11. Be on guard against her impudent eye. The same thing. Be on guard against her wandering eye, and what she likes looking at and what she likes doing. And do not be surprised if she sins against you. Meaning, might come a time where she gonna violate, and don't be surprised because you know and you recognize her spirit. Um, as a thirsty traveler opens his mouth and drinks from any water near him. This is being descriptive, you know, like a thirsty traveler who opens his mouth and drinks from any water near him. This is using a metaphor that this is how your daughter is, you know, that she's basically a loose woman, a loose girl, right? Um, so she will sit in front of every tent peg and open her quiver to the arrow. It cannot be more descriptive than that. She would sit in front of every tent peg and open her quiver. You know what's her quiver? Her legs, to every arrow. And what this is giving you is a dose of reality, or what to expect, or what you might see. A lot of people don't like hearing it, don't like seeing it, but it's the truth. It happens. So it happens. Now you see. Sometimes I come back and I look at the comments. All right, so watch over your daughters. Try to keep an impudent eye over them. And, sometimes you lose some of them, basically. Um, and like it tells you, don't put your trust in man. Don't put your trust in, you know, if I'm telling you don't trust me and I'm the one that teaching you, children make mistakes. They do things and that you want to bust their heads wide open. You teach your children to do that which is right, but sometimes they still do contrary to that which is right. We're living in a society where it's more acceptable for them to do wrong. So you have to be prepared for anything, right? Don't vouch for them and say they will never do this, because we don't know. We live in a society where there's many temptations, right? And I'm not okaying bad behavior, but what I'm telling you is that stuff happens in this society. If you got a child that waited and did all those things, that's the way all children are supposed to be, and that's the route we're supposed to go to. But in this society, they're exposed to so many things, and those are the things that we need to that we have to keep in mind. So let's be vigilant over our children and protect them. That's basically what it means. A wife's charm delight her husband, and her skill puts flesh on his bones. You know what that's about? A wife's charm delights her husband. You could diffuse your husband just by the words that you say and how you talk to him. You could diffuse him. The words that he liked, the honey and the way you treat him. You could diffuse him, right? So her charm delights her husband, makes him feel good about himself, makes him feel happy, and her skill puts flesh on his bones. You know what that is. You know how to make a mean macaroni and cheese. That's right. It says, I wish we girls would pick up on wisdom before being loose. Young and dumb, but this but think everything is such a bad combination. Yeah, that's a bad combination. So getting back to these skills, and her skill puts flesh on his bones. Y'all know what that is. She get in that kitchen. She know how to make a mean stew. She know how to make some mean macaroni and cheese. She know how to make a mean piece of lamb and and steak and chicken and stew and baked. And y'all know, I leave no doubt that I like food, right? And then as you get older and you can't have all that stuff too much anymore, she know how to break it down and make it to the specifications that you could eat to and you still enjoy it. That's right. She puts flesh on your bones. That's a beautiful thing. Verse 14. A silent wife is a gift from Jehovah, and nothing is so precious as her self-discipline. I don't know if I want to elaborate on that, because a lot of you women will get offended if I elaborate on this. So I'm going to just let the word speak for itself, and you know what that means, right? It says, it says, a silent wife, I'm going to repeat that slowly. A silent wife is a gift from the Lord, and nothing is so precious as her self-discipline. Let that soak in a little, sisters. Verse 15. Now, I have to admit, these books were written from the perspective of a man. So, a man is talking here. So, in terms, if a woman wrote the book, she's going to say, this type of husband is a good husband, or this husband is, it's reciprocal though. You're not going to have a good wife and then treat her like dirt. If you have a good wife, you have to treat her like the queen that she is. Straight up. If you have a good wife, treat her like the queen that she is. Don't treat her like a dog. Don't treat her like an animal. Treat her like the queen that she is. Verse 15. A modest wife adds charm to charm, and no scales can weigh the value of her chastity. Oh, man. That means she ain't out there showing everything to everyone. That's right. She knows when to speak. Listen, she ain't out there showing everything to everyone. She modest. Modesty means that the way she carries herself, the way that she speaks, the way that she attends to you, all these things. So these are things that we have to keep in mind. All right? It says, I see this topic right here as one of those topics. Verse 16. Like the sun rising in the heights of Yahweh, so is the beauty of a good wife in her well-ordered home. Wow. Those words are powerful. Like the sun rising in the heights of Yahweh, meaning in the heavens, right? The sun rising into the heavens. So is the beauty of a good wife in her well-ordered home. A woman is in control of her home. She keep things in order. She keep things in line. She aligns everything in the home so that everything goes accordingly. And when that man steps into that house, everything is already in order. Everything is in place. She orders the children. She does certain things. Listen, when you got those children, put them children to work. Mothers work hard, As them children start getting of age, don't teach them how to do the things and make them do it. Make them do it. Make them understand that they have to do chores and that they have to do certain things. Shalom, shalom to my brother Zion Lex. He in the building. Good to see you, my brother. Let me see. Verse 17. Like the shining lamp on the holy lamp, so is a beautiful face on a stately figure. Like golden pillars on silver bases, so are the shapely legs and steadfast feet. So then it says, my child, keep sound the bloom of your youth, and do not give your strength to strangers. You hear that? My child, keep sound the bloom of your youth, and do not give your strength to strangers. Meaning, don't be laying around with any and everyone. That's for especially men. Especially men. It's in you. You go listen, and I'm gonna get on brothers because this is real talk. It's your responsibility to keep things straight. You going around there laying around with every woman that's out there just because the Most High God gives us the ability, or we have the right to take another woman, does not mean that you go out there and you make whores out of the daughters and you sleeping with every woman that you see out there. Sure, women might like you. Women might like you and might want to have you in that way. It don't mean that you give in to that temptation because you have a wife at home. There are diseases out there. There's certain things that you could bring home to your wife. And this is the understanding that we gotta have. And we have to be disciplined when it comes to that. Because you cannot bring these things and do them before your wife and then and think that it's okay, because it's not okay. Like the sisters say, you got a lot of diseases out there, and it's not a sport. Sex is not a sport that you're doing, you know, to see how many women you could conquer. That's not what this way of life is about. You know, and I think that people are misguided by polygyny. It's not you you're trying to your conquest, you know, of how many women you could conquer and how many women you can have in your harem. You know, it's not about that. It's not about that. So don't give your strength to strangers, right? My child, keep sound the bloom of your youth. Meaning, it's talking to the woman, the bloom of your youth. Don't give your virginity to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Wait until you get married and give that to your husband, to the man that you know is going to be your husband. That's what you do. Seek a fertile field within the whole plain and sow it with your own seed, trusting in your fine stock. That means marry your own people. Stop going outside your people. You know what's the most, you know what's disappointing to me? Especially when you have um you see these big athletes, right? They make all these money, these brothers. And then they go marry somebody from I'm not a racist, but there is something that's still, because we come from a position of not having anything. You gonna marry somebody that already has something, and you got, sister in the hood that she's heads over heel about you, and you won't pull her out of that. You just messing around with her, but you gonna marry somebody else. You know what I mean? Of another nation. I don't agree with that. You know, I don't agree with that. I think that it says here, so it says, seek a fertile field within the whole plain and sow it with your own seed, trusting in your fine stock. So your offspring will prosper, and having confidence in their good descent will grow great. Meaning, go find you an Israelite woman. Go find you an Israelite woman. Go find you a woman that's going to do the same thing that you do. Stop marrying these women because you lusting after them. You lust after them because their bodies and this, and they don't have no intentions of serving God. You went after a thrill. You went after a big, and for lack of a better word, like the BVD song. And, I know we was listening to that. You went after a big butt and a smile. And after you got that, you got pregnant. Now you're going through child support court and all this and all that. So that's what you have to do. You know what I mean? And you have to go through because you didn't think wisely and you didn't choose wisely. Not saying that in Israelite relationship things can go south, because they go south also. They scared a black woman gonna take all their money. Shoot, nobody do you worse than Caucasians, boy. They take everything. Let me see. It says, verse 22, a prostitute is regarded as spittle, and a married woman as a tower of death to her lovers. A tower of death to her lovers. Wow. That means that they all committed adultery, and there's a death penalty. A godless wife is given as a portion to a lawless man, but a pious wife is given to the man who fears Yahweh. So a godless wife is given as a portion to a lawless man, meaning a woman that does anything, do anything, lives anyhow, is given to a lawless man, a man that lives in anarchy, does what he want to do. So you get your match. You're not going to get a Sarah if you're not an Abraham. How do you expect that? That's not balanced. So you don't get Sarah if you're not Abraham. You get if you acting like nigga black, you gonna get you Negro LaQuisha. That's who you gonna get. You know what I mean? But if you act like Yehuda, you know, Bain Yehuda, then you gonna get you Sarai Bat Naphtali. You understand what I'm saying? That's who you gonna get. But if you acting like black from around the corner, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get LaQuisha from around the corner. And that's what you should be expecting. Don't expect no more. Don't expect no less. That's who you get, because that's who the Most High God is gonna balance you out with. And now some of you men and some of you brothers, some of you sisters, you have good mates, like good significant others, and you just don't know how to appreciate them. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Goes both ways. It just don't go one way. Goes both ways. All right? Sometimes you don't know when you have a good thing. You ever hear that saying? Sometimes you don't know when you have a good thing. That's what happens. This is going to be the last chapter that I go into. I'm not going to be going too much longer. So a shameless woman constantly acts disgracefully, but a modest daughter will even be embarrassed before her husband. That's self-explanatory. A headstrong wife is regarded as a dog, but one who has a sense of shame will fear Yahweh. So I think we confuse headstrong with somebody that's assertive or whatever. Somebody that's a woman that's strong, nothing wrong with that. That's why I always tell people, don't let people get into your relationships, because how you run your relationship is how it works for you. And everybody don't have their relationships the same way. You know what I'm saying? I looked at that movie with Denzel, Fences. I don't know how many people saw it. Sorry, Deborah Mac. LaQuisha, if you're out there and you're listening to me, I didn't mean to stereotype your name. And if I have a LaQuisha listening right now, I apologize to you. Is that good, Deborah? So I just want to say that. If there's a LaQuisha out there listening to me, and I'm using your name as an example, I thoroughly apologize at this time. And I'm not trying to use your name and saying that you're a bad person. So, is that good, Deborah? Because we got these people that these are people that I know her for like almost 30 years. So these are people that could put me in check and know if I'm going the wrong way, and they keep me in check. Thank you. So I apologize to every LaQuisha out there that I used their name. But I was just trying to make a point, and I didn't mean to make your name a derogatory term. So let me get back to this. A wife honoring her husband was seen wise to all, but if she dishonors him in her pride, she will be known to all as ungodly. Happy is the husband of a good wife, for the number of his years will be double. Oh man, I know a lot of you brothers saying amen out there. Sisters, don't get mad. Let us have our moment, all right? A lot of brothers saying amen. Happy is the husband of a good wife, for the number. And if you're a good wife, feel good about yourself. A loud voice and garrulous wife is like a trumpet sounding the charge. And every person like this lives and the anarchy of war. Wow, they get. I didn't write these words. You know, I didn't write this. This must have been somebody who was really going through something with, had a tough divorce or something, who wrote this. Verse 28, at two things my heart is grieved, and because of a third, anger comes over me. A warrior and want through poverty, right? Because warriors, when they go out to war, they make their money. That's how they make their money, right? Intelligent men who are treated contemptuously, meaning that you know the person is intelligent, but you treat them as if they have no knowledge. And a man who turns back from righteousness to sin, Jehovah will prepare him for the sword. So if you were doing that which was right, and you went back to sin like a dog goes back to his vomit, then it said the Most High God will prepare a sword for you. You have to keep those things in mind. Those are things that we have to keep in our thought. Don't turn back from this. There's only one way, and that's the way that Yah prescribed it. And that's the way that we have to follow. It says here, last verse coming up. A merchant can hardly keep from wrongdoing, nor is a tradesman innocent of sin. It's just talking about somebody who deals in merchandise and stuff like that. Sometimes they're hard, but the Most High tell us to deal with just weights and just balance. That is His delight. So I hope you gotten something out of what I brought today. I know sometimes that conversation gets touchy, but you have to. And if you notice, I don't delve into that too much because I don't like getting into conversations about that because it's a touchy subject, touchy for some people, and I think everyone should. Yes, once you know better, you have to do better. Hey, I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite Emas out there, Ema Sarah. She probably still listening to me right now. You know you my baby, Ema Sarah. You know you my darling. One of my loyal listeners, and she always got good advice for me. My sister Shivani in the building. Everybody in the building. Marsha Bryce, Ema Alicia Dye, Ema got all the Hebrew sister, my Ema out there in Detroit, Michigan, Ema Avared Yisrael. Somebody put here, John Caldwell put, Christians have a wife and a girlfriend, and it's legal. We have wives, no girlfriends. Yeah. Now I'm looking back at the messages. Shalom to my sister Adaya Zara Bat Yehuda. Dina Yisrael, Naya Yisrael, Bathsheba Yisrael, Deborah Mack, Marsha Yisrael, everybody, Edna Pete, Miss Edna, Shoshana Levy, and everybody who joined on tonight. Once again, remembering just a few announcements. This coming Yom Rishon, or this Sunday, is going to be, is it this Sunday? No, not this Sunday. Following Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. They're going down to the new museum down in Washington, D.C. 4 busloads of Israelites going down there together to see the Museum of Culture and Sports or Entertainment or something like that. I got to get the name right. So don't forget February 19th, Benny Haddad having their night of elegance. Reserve the Memorial Day weekend for us. We're supposed to have something on that weekend. So if you want to find out about Benny Haddad activities, You could go to my sister Deborah Mack. She's on both things, on Facebook Live, and she's on the YouTube chat. So you could contact her. Deborah put a number 5 to your next to your name so that they know who you are and they could contact you if they need to contact you about those events that are happening. Put a 5 next to your name so everybody could see it. This is all stuff my sister Shavania, which is on Facebook Live, Antonia Avila. If you need zitsis, which is required by law to wear, she makes zitsis, so you could contact her and she could hook you up. Of course, after Shabbat, but I'm just letting you know that that sister right there makes zitsis. If you need them made, Antonia Avila on Facebook Live, and she would. So Deborah Mack, she put the 5 on YouTube, and if you need to contact her for anything going on at BINAH, she's there. Once again, Imamuna, daughter's funeral this weekend. Sunday, Caribe Funeral Home on Utica Avenue. They're gonna have it from 2 to 5, the viewing. Then from 5 to 7, they're gonna have a small service, and then from 7 o'clock on, we're gonna have a it's gonna be a what do you call it? The repast, small thing there with the family and friends of the family. Game night at BINAH tomorrow night. So come out and support. What's the next thing? The Phenomenal Women Conference. That's from my sister Kaya. The Men's Retreat Weekend from March 10th to 12th down in Virginia. IVC meeting and tax prep workshop at Beit Shalom tomorrow at 6 p.m. My sister's right on it. So all those things. So also don't forget to support. If you are on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, I don't know, request me as a friend, and I'm going to accept you as a friend. Share the link. I know this was a long night. Anytime we get into these conversations, it gets long. So it is what it is, though. I love doing my job. I love doing this job and bringing understanding to people. And I just want you to understand, along the way, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not perfect. People that know me know I make mistakes. You know, I get angry. I do stupid stuff sometimes. Just that all of you don't know me on a personal level, so you don't know when I make my mistakes or when I'm making my mistakes, because I'm a man that has flaws. So when you hear me speak, it's because I was trained to do this, right? And I'm not saying like I'm a wicked guy, but what I'm saying is I make mistakes. So don't hope in me in a way as if I'm not fallible or I can't err, because I could err. I'm man. All right. So just keep that in mind. And if you keep that in mind with everybody, and also, yeah, for Imamuna, let's come out strong, because those of you that are in the New York City area that know her, please come out and support her, because her daughter didn't used to do Torah. She went to a church. You know, Imamuna came into this way of life when she was already an elder. You know, Imamuna is 84 years old. So she came into this way of life when, like 23 years ago? Something like that, 22 years ago. So she was already an elder when she came into this way of life. It's already in her 60s. So she wasn't a young woman when she came into this way of life. You know, so, you know, she already had a whole nother way of life. So when she decided to turn and trust in the Most High, you know, she had grown children. So let's keep her in our prayers. Let's keep Emmet full in our prayers, and let's come out and support. So everybody out there, I see you, Rhonda McCrary. May the Most High bless you, my sister, and everybody. Lena, Lene, I seen you. You was in the building. You was there strong. So if that's it. Oh, tell Ima Owens that I said shalom too. Tell Mama Owens I said shalom. And I know that y'all had a loss. I forgot about that. Keep our prayers up for our sister Lena and our sister Shekina Pitts Yisrael, who lost her brother, which is Alina's cousin, and Mama Owens' nephew, I believe. If I'm wrong, please correct me, Lena. But yeah, they going through something. The name of the funeral home is Caribe, Caribe, on Utica Avenue. Caribe Funeral Home, all right? So, yeah. So my sister Lena and the family out in Cincinnati, Ohio. Sorry about the loss. May the Most High God strengthen y'all. It's never easy to lose someone. And we hope that the Most High God will strengthen y'all and give y'all, strength to carry on. It's never easy to lose a loved one. So, once again, thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for this day. Don't forget to join us at don't forget to join us on YouTube tomorrow and on Facebook Live. We're gonna be on live. Shabbat teachings, going through the portions. And you know how we do. So join us. 1922 Utica Avenue. Thank you. So join us. That's Caribe Funeral Home, 1922 Utica Avenue. Join us tomorrow morning. Don't forget to hit the support button on the YouTube channel. Support us. We need your support in every which way. I'm not telling you to break the Shabbat right now, but don't forget us tomorrow night, or don't forget us during the week to bring this program into you. We're not in a D.C.B is not in our own place. We rent out a place. So therefore, we have to buy our own internet devices and do all that. That stuff costs money. This setting, I'm at home. This is cool. That I don't ask for that, but when we out there and when we bringing you all that service, the graduation, I try to be the reporter. I try to be a little bit of a reporter to bring you information which y'all appreciate. So in the appreciation, show me back the appreciation until we get a stable place. Then I won't be begging you for anything. Not that I won't be begging you for anything for the place, but we need, to keep this internet stuff going on Shabbat, all right? And that costs Kesser. I hate to be talking about that on Shabbat, but excuse me, but it's real like that. I just have to put it like that. So, Torah Yahuwah for all things and everything. May the Most High God bless and keep you. May the Most High God cause His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom. Everybody have a great night. Go have y'all already had your snacks and all that. So I'm going to go have my snacks and see you in the AM. Shalom, shalom.